So let's move on to your fourth top trend. Now this is about deglobalization that's been happening, and we've all read about it, but here actual data on how much deglobalization there is and how this could impact the 2020s. In the 2010s, the deglobalization was pretty severe. After booming, global trade boomed for a while, then it had just peaked and it's on its way down. Just look at the figures. From 30% to 60% from 70 to 2008, and then it's just come down. So that 30, 60 could have gone to 70. Instead of 70, it's 56. It's coming down. The trend has changed. That's the key there.
Yes. So I think that this is the share of global GDP, that for a long time we thought that global trade was bound to keep on increasing. And it did.
Yes.
You had this hyper-globalization in the 80s, 90s.
Right.
And this is just to do with trade. But when it comes to other factors of globalization, we've seen a reversal on many fronts. We've seen it on capital flows, even people flows. Migrant flows have slowed down because of all the anti-migrant sort of rhetoric that's picked up. Even in terms of digital flows, now we're seeing ecosystems being developed which are independent of each other, US and China building,
so
like
is this,
independent ecosystems. So this is all part of deglobalization that's happening.
Trade deglobalization, is it also to do with something else, Trump, is it? The
well,
deglobalization, attacking China.
That's right. I think Trump has accelerated it, but I think it was happening before
trend
that
anyway.
too. It was a trend anyway.
Right.
We started speaking about this even before Trump came to power, that the number of countries which were putting up protectionist measures, including India, Russia, all these countries putting up protectionist measures, this started happening pretty much after the global financial crisis of 2008.
Right, and coupled with this and linked to it is a kind of period of lack of trust, era of distrust. Just look at the difference in how people trust large brands, the rising distrust of large brands. This is what's happening. The percentage of people who don't trust large corporations and their brands used to be in 2012, 30% didn't trust them. And now, in 2017, that's gone up to 45%. That's almost half. And maybe by 2019, when the final data comes out, it could be high. Huge distrust. Now, why is that happening?
Well, I think that it's happening at multiple levels. One of the big reasons why this is going on is because of nationalism. So I've seen Chinese surveys on this.
Right.
And they say that one reason that they will not like to use more US brands is because of the increased hostility with the United States.
Right.
So we're seeing that large multinationals are going to come under this threat, which is that across borders, because of the nationality, you find that there's distrust building.
Is distrust building
brands
in America as well, though, for their own companies?
Yes.
I mean, especially the tech companies.
Absolutely. So that's been the really big change, which is that 5-10 years ago, the tech titans were all celebrated as these good billionaires, as you sort of creating this wealth. Now, in fact, if you look at publications such as The Economist, they put tech billionaires among the bad billionaires. So this is the big switch which is going on and reflected in this distrust of large brands.
Right.
Especially global brands.
Right, and your nationalism part has kind of given a boost to local brands and natural products and something indigenous. Just have a look at, in fact, what's happening in India. India, you've seen a rise of local natural products. Now, what does that mean? Just look at it. Percentage market share of local brands in India in 2010 was just 8%. It's more than double now to 17%. So this is again against multinationals and people with corporations with huge finances, but nevertheless, our local brands have begun to do well. Here you've taken a simple average of toothpaste, shampoo, skincare, etc. But this is a trend.
Yeah, so in terms of, like you said, here much more of local brands now, and I think that it's partly to do with nationalization, and that's how you have some companies even advertising that way, saying that you should buy our brands because these are locally manufactured. So I think that there's some powerful resonance to saying that the goods have been made here locally, and much greater belief also in some of the local ingredients, Ayurvedic and other things. But I think that this is a really big change which is going on.
Yeah, and again global, but it's certainly hitting India as well. Wonderful. I mean, it's actually a positive. I don't know.
Across products.
Yes, across products. Another area which is slightly different, but localization of data storage. So if you look at data localization, that people want storage of data locally, it's increasing every year. Let's look at Ruchir's data on that. the research that he's used for this data. Data localization is on the rise. Protectionist policies that require data to be stored locally are going up. The number of policies. If you look in 2010, there were about 45 policies, and now 85. That's nearly double. So this whole trend that it's got to be within my country, you can't have it outside, part of nationalism and part of surveillance also.
Right, and protectionism. So this is all
Yes.
coming together. So we spoke about deglobalization, and now we spoke about localization. So it's all sort of coming together in terms of
My
what's
worry is
aiding
that this is more, politicians say we want to be national, but actually politicians feeling we need it for surveillance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's obviously something which politicians will do.
Come on,
to
speak
use
out, yeah, man.
in terms of what's convenient for them.
Okay, so the summary of the fourth of your top 10 trends of the 2020s, number 4 is that there's deglobalization, and that's making way for localization. And that's we've seen even in India, and it's quite a big change. So you're talking about localization going into the 2020s as a major new thrust. It's already gone up quite a bit, and that's going to carry on?
Yes, I think so, because as I said, that these waves which come of deglobalization, they tend to last not just years, but decades. And the rise in nationalist sentiment, this is also something which seems like an enduring theme. So if you're going to have deglobalization, you're going to have nationalism, more protectionism, all these I think are likely to support local brands much more than global brands.
Right.